Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and if you're watching this, well, what if I told you you're a little diddler, ladies and gentlemen? You might be like, whoa, no, I'm not, that's slanderous. And you'd be right to say that. I don't know you, but ladies and gentlemen, what if I was an artificial intelligence that was moderating a platform and said, yeah, that guy does unsavory things to minors? You might be like, whoa, that's insane. How do I disprove this slander? Well, you might be fighting an uphill battle there, buddy, and it can be a scary battle to go across. Now, very recently, there's been a crazy trend, and one of the things that I've been kind of wanting to talk about in regards to YouTube in this situation, and really the grand majority of the internet, was this AI moderation. I've seen a lot of talk from the internet. I've seen a lot of talk in the community about AI is destroying channels, Muda. It's killing all the channels. Now, if you look inside YouTube's termination list, since January to March in 2025, this year alone, 2.89 million channels have been sent to the goddamn shadow realm, ladies and gentlemen. They've been killed. They've been squad wiped. And of course, if you look at the grand majority of the cases, it's because there's a lot of spam, deceptive practices, and scams. Not that I'm shocked by any imagination, just turn off your ad block. You'll see a whole bunch of them in the ad system. But that number seemingly has just continually kept growing, right? Number of videos removed during this time period due to a channel level termination was up to 55 million. That was just in April and June. Now, obviously, YouTube will clearly admit, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a lot of content on their platform that is moderated by artificial intelligences, okay? In fact, in a lot of cases, a lot of the moderation occurs, according to YouTube, with a mixture of AI and human beings. Now, if you look at the amount of videos removed by country, you can see that the top brass is India. I swear to God, dude, the public perception of it is completely nuked. Brazil, Indonesia, and the United States, Bangladesh, Russia, Pakistan, Philippines, Turkey, and Thailand, okay? So, Thailand, sorry, not Thailand. But yeah, you can see that this is literally like, these are the top 10 FBI most wanted of YouTube fucking offenses. If you're from any of these countries, YouTube's AI is gonna probably look at you with a little bit more scrutiny, okay? It's like walking through the TSA. Step aside, pal, you got a random security search. Yeah, random my ass, huh? But of course, YouTube says, yeah, we use a mixture of automation and human review, and we have for many years. With hundreds of hours of videos uploaded, we have to use automation to capture harmful content quickly and accurately. And this is not a shock to many people. I've seen a lot of individuals sharing around their messages from YouTube support, and then throwing it into AI checkers to see, you see that, guys? YouTube's using AI to respond to us. Now, if you're going to look at a standard message that YouTube has written you, it's probably written by a machine. You know how many fucking thousands, hundreds of thousands they're probably going to send out? They got to send these messages internationally. You cannot, for the life of you, imagine that an actual human being is sitting and writing each and every single one of these emails. Also, on the side of AI checkers, remember, AI checkers aren't entirely 100% accurate. I threw in the Declaration of Independence from the United States of America, and one AI tool said, yeah, 91% AI GPT. So unless the founding fathers dug up the goddamn, like, time travel stones and managed to get AI back in the day, I don't think that's necessarily true, okay? Grok, is this true? According to one other AI check, that shit was highly confident the text is entirely human. So really, using AI to check other AI, not exactly the best solution out there, okay? So you guys remember a few weeks ago when we were looking at a channel called Enderman, and apparently their channels were getting completely wiped because they were linked to like some Japanese organization? Well, it turned out that was actually, from what I understand, a bug over on YouTube. But of course, obviously, YouTube does not really like to admit all the times that there's probably more AI than actual human beings when it comes to moderation. So really, it was more like pulling teeth to figure out what was actually the real reality of this situation. Now, if you thought that that was like kind of the end of that, actually, YouTube's been getting kind of like pushed for a lot of this. They've been kind of noted in pretty much every platform that the use of AI and automated decision making has been proven in many cases. And in some instances, ladies and gentlemen, I shit you not, there were cases where when people started to look at YouTube's like automated responses on Twitter, there was even a point where like the script wasn't completed. It literally just had like the AI like fill in prompt right there, which doesn't really shock me. I mean, it's a social media platform. No human being is honestly responding to every single message on Team YouTube's Twitter account or really any social media platform without some level of artificial intelligence assist, right? But when it comes to the moderation on the platform, I think nothing is more evident than what happened a few days ago with a channel known as Eric Parker. Now, for anybody that doesn't know who Eric Parker is, he's a cybersecurity YouTuber. He talks a lot about computer viruses like I do. And like me, he shows a lot of viruses in visual format. So he'll download viruses, he'll run them in virtual machines, he'll show you how things operate. It's similar to how like I'll make videos on computer viruses like this, where I'll run them on my actual like computer with safety provisions, of course, and I'll show you what a virus does, because ultimately you shouldn't be running computer viruses. You should leave that to the people that know what they're doing. So of course, Eric shows this running a remote access Trojan. He's showing actual rootkit malware. Malware that when installed to your computer will persist until you actually go into the nitty-gritty and remove it by hand. So he shows you it running in something known as AnyRun, which is an online malware analysis tool. I've shown you this tool before. So what Eric is showing you is he's showing you what a computer virus does. He's not promoting this. He's not spreading links for you to download these viruses and run them on your computer, okay? Even when I talk about computer viruses or I talk about shady things on the dark web, I make it a very, very salient point to remove that content or anything that could lead users to that content. I don't want you to download computer viruses and run them on your computer, okay? That's a bad thing to do. I don't want you to go to those hitman websites, those obvious scam websites on the dark web, okay? I can show you them, I just can't lead you to them. And it's one of the reasons why I think that I haven't been hit so much like my peers with community guideline strikes. If I could have a superpower, my superpower would be fucking hindsight, because anytime I upload a video, there is a fair amount of stuff that I do cut out, jokes that I'll remove, simply because I know that if YouTube's artificial intelligence picks up those words without any fucking form of context, it may choose to nuke me. For instance, if I showed you this image and jokingly said, wow guys, that's Bin Laden, childhood, colorized, planning the future, YouTube's artificial intelligence might go and say, whoa, promotion of terrorism? No, I have to make it very evidently clear. Terrorism is bad. Al-Qaeda is bad, okay? All of that is bad. This is a joke, okay? There's actually an image of me as a kid. My parents, we went out to New York City and stuff, and that was a fun time, all right? So I did manage to get photos taken of me in front of the Twin Towers before they became a piece of American history, okay? And the world really changed. But this video is not about 9/11. This video is about YouTube's AI moderation, okay? You have to be very careful about what you say. And one of the reasons why you gotta be very careful is you have to understand how the AI tools work. Now, YouTube is backended by Google, which ultimately hosts one of the largest AI platforms in the world, Google Gemini, which has had so many staggering updates in the last few weeks that it might be like literally the #1 in the AI game. It might actually be able to surpass things like OpenAI's ChatGPT, just in terms of how much it can actually do. And a lot of that comes from the fact that Google has given such a vast amount of training data to these artificial intelligences. You ever wonder why things like VO3 are so good? You ever wonder why their image generation is so goddamn good? It's because they own like literally the largest video sharing website, YouTube, right here. So obviously AI has kind of made a point into every single facet of this website alone. So for instance, if you go to channels on YouTube, like for instance, this is a YouTuber called Cuckler who makes GTA content. He made a video called The Brain Rotting of GTA Online. Now, if your brain is so rotted that you cannot watch an entire 27-minute video, okay, you can't just grab a beer, watch some of this shit and have a good time. You can scroll all the way down and look at YouTube's AI summary, which has been graciously provided to us by Gemini. And of course, while they say quality and accuracy may vary, this GTA Online video essay analyzes the Oppressor Mark II's impact on gameplay. The creator explores its design, arguing it wasn't accidental, and examines how it affects other vehicles and the player experience. Yeah, exactly. Let's be real. For anybody that doesn't know, we're gonna have a side here. Rockstar released this flying motorcycle with like lock-on missiles and everything, and somehow it seems like an entire player base has just decided to buy this vehicle and ruin the experience of other players. It's one of the reasons why, for the longest time, if you ever played GTA Online, you did everything possible to glitch the game into solo sessions, so you never had to encounter another fucking waste of human fucking organs flying around Los Santos, blowing you out and taking away all of your money and hard time, okay? This is why people play in solo private sessions. But YouTube, instead of letting this person speak, decides to stuff the entire platform with constant AI. I would say that a good chunk of the actual shorts that you see here on the platform, hell, there's a whole bunch of YouTube channels that are entirely AI run. But when it comes to the moderation, obviously AIs don't understand context. They're not really good at that stuff yet because they're not human. They're not alive. They don't have that functionality. All AIs effectively really do, just, to understand, is that they go into a YouTube transcript. So every YouTube video has transcripts. You can go down into the description, hit show transcript, and of course, YouTube will look at this entire transcript and build an actual summary off of this. If you copied this entire transcript into any AI tool and asked it to summarize, you would get similar things. And obviously, an artificial intelligence will look at that and say, okay, are there any things that would like actually cause a community guideline to be triggered, right? Like imagine if they were talking about promoting violence. Imagine if somebody joked about anything. AIs are not going to understand a joke versus reality, so they'll look at whatever's in this and think, okay, that was against terms of services, let's elevate that. Now, obviously, a human being should look and decide what the context is, but again, human beings are very diverse groups of people. Sometimes a human being in another part of the world may not even understand jokes from certain areas and decide to inadvertently provide an actual strike. YouTube's appeal process can actually be so annoying that for a lot of content creators, it becomes a situation where they have to see this screen all the time. So Eric Parker said that like literally for like every 6 months, he kept getting these community guideline strikes. Now, community guideline strikes typically go away after like 90 days. So like every 90 days, he would just apparently get some video taken down. So for instance, Rootkits, that video that I talked about, well, that video got taken down for harmful or dangerous content. Nowhere was he promoting that, and this is the same policy strike that every time I make a video about computer viruses, computer safety, or anything where I talk about things like self-hosting, like when I tell you guys about building your own VPN or like getting your own ad block, I'm literally getting a firearm, putting it up to my temple and playing a bit of Russian roulette every time, okay? It's a goddamn thrill, you know? But if you look in further in some of his videos, you'll see that other videos get hit down. A Discord grabber that hacks the hackers. So, I talk about Discord malware too. I think Discord's a pretty popular client. There's a lot of sickos that distribute, illegal software on there. And sometimes people run that software, and I exist to show you what running that software can do, aka steal your information. Nowhere do I promote it, nowhere do I believe Eric Parker promotes it, but YouTube's AI is not smart enough to know that, it just decides to give you a community guideline strike. So you really have to sit down and fight back, even when you appeal. You can see here that on September 11th, he got his appeal rejected. Two sad things happened that day, and I'll let you decide which one is sadder. Now again, for a lot of content creators that rely on 100% of the YouTube revenue for paying their mortgages or bills or whatever, it can be probably one of the scariest experiences known to man. Like imagine your job security is effectively hinged by an artificial intelligence that is probably like 0.01% of the intellect that Shodan has. I would probably rather prefer we have like a super mega AI like Shodan, because at least Shodan is able to understand shit like context. Not something that I expect platforms like YouTube to be able to do whatsoever. But yeah, what is the actual fix over here? Honestly, it's a matter of getting YouTube to look into this artificial intelligence and probably pull back on their implementation of it, because it really seems like they're going far above and beyond what they need to be doing. In fact, in some cases, you can see that the wild part about YouTube is where YouTubers like Brytech showed in their analytics tab, right, what they get in the inspiration tab, which is YouTube's AI generated like, hey, this is what video you should be making. All of the ideas are, in my opinion, not something that the viewers want to see. You can see that in some cases, he'll get suggestions like how to install Windows 11 on an unsupported PC. Now, in this situation, you might be like, whoa, okay, that's a good idea. Maybe I should teach people. So I even made a video similar to that. I literally made a video just like that. If somebody could make this video and show people how to install Windows 11, by modifying the software a little bit, using something like Rufus, imagine getting a community guideline strike for an idea that YouTube's AI has taught you. YouTube's AI gave you an idea that the other YouTube AI doesn't exactly like. You see the problem in the situation that I'm pointing out? It's fucking crazy. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that make good content that talks about self-hosting, computer safety. People like Louis Rossmann, Mental Outlaw. PewDiePie's making some pretty banger AI videos recently too. And a lot of these guys put themselves at risk because ultimately the kind of content that they talk about could again be tripped under any of YouTube's vague community guideline rules. Look, YouTube is an amazing platform. I will give it that. YouTube is a platform that allows me to speak my piece and talk to tons of people on the internet and have a good time. But obviously, I love this platform. I really do. I do not love the AI moderation so much on this platform because I felt in recent years, and this is a trend that I've seen sort of spark up across the entire internet. It's gotten bad. For instance, going back to just Facebook, for instance, if you go to Instagram's Reddit board really quickly, this is unofficial, but this is by far one of the largest platforms on Reddit, one of the largest subreddits. And literally on this platform, every single person here talks about how dog shit their AI verification is, how many times people get banned. So for instance, one user will say, yeah, I got banned for, CSE, appeal rejected within 2 minutes. So obviously, I don't think a human being looked at that. And of course, further into it too as well, you can see that in some cases, they do actually get these emails back. So when you appeal, sometimes they'll tell you, hey, we reviewed your account and found that the activity on it does actually follow our community guidelines on child exploitation, abuse, and nudity. Imagine getting labeled as a sexual predator by an artificial intelligence in one of the largest tech companies in the world, Meta, by the way, and then you have to sit down there and actually hope that the AI unslanders you in the process. I mean, that is insanity. There's people's entire businesses that are on here that get shut down because they get falsely called a child predator. What the fuck, man? And then, of course, the further you go down into it, you can see that literally in cases as of 2 days ago, you'll find people that get reviewed and say, hey, look, your account doesn't follow community guidelines on sexualization of children. Okay, so again, this person's called a predator. And then, of course, hey, thanks for taking the time to request a review. We reviewed your account and found that it does follow our community standards on exploitation. And this came before the next ban. So it's kind of crazy to see that people get unbanned and rebanned for this. Why is it that, at least in terms of Facebook land, this AI tool is tripping up and calling people predators? I mean, that is an insane accusation to be making. And I would say that, at least in Meta's case, they probably actually do put way more AI. So remember, this same company that wanted to unironically put AI, actual bots on their website so that their site could appear more lively, okay? I don't know what's going on in Metaland, but I stay far away from it outside of things like virtual reality. But yeah, it is kind of crazy, right? People can just be sitting there one day and their entire livelihood gets taken away because an online platform has deemed them a child diddler, okay? Thankfully, YouTube, from my understanding, doesn't have that problem, and hopefully it won't have that problem, but never say never, because even when it comes to things like Google Photos, an AI tripped up over there and accused a father of being a predator, invoking a police, invoking cops to show up at their house, an entire investigation. And even when the cops cleared the father, Google was still, at the time, unwilling to say, oh yeah, we were wrong, by the way. You're good. Come back to Google. This is a serious epidemic, a serious problem. And look, I know that the big AI overlords, the big companies want to make sure that this is part of our life. And look, even if I can't, avoid it, at least make sure that it doesn't slander us as predators and terrorists and virus distributors. Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and yeah, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't take this video down. Hopefully the context is understood. But just for the record, I don't promote viruses, terrorism, Al-Qaeda, violence, child predators, any of that nature, okay? Anything bad, we don't promote on this channel, okay? Always good stuff. Always halal things on this channel. I am out.